everybody. My name's Autumn, in case you don't know. I am making a video about my NCLEX experience. So obviously, if you've clicked on this video, you're curious to see how I studied and planned and ended up passing NCLEX the second time after failing the first time at 75 questions, and then I ended up passing at 75 questions the second time. So this video is for some of my friends that are still in nursing school. This is also for any nursing student, people that are about to take NCLEX. Maybe you failed NCLEX and you're trying to find a new way to study, or maybe you're curious as to different ways to study and what works best for you. So in this video, I'm going to kind of talk about my experience with NCLEX, how I studied, how I changed my study habits the first time to the second time, and also what I did with my anxiety. Anxiety played a huge role in this, and I think if you are mentally strong and confident in your knowledge and everything, that you can beat this test. I really think it's maybe almost all mental, because if you've went through the hell of nursing school, you know the basics. Obviously, you graduated for a reason and you're here for a reason. Obviously, I'm going to be basic today and wear my blue scrubs and my stethoscope because I'm an RN now. It's so weird to say, and it's awesome at the same time. So the first thing I guess I'm going to do is kind of go through when I graduated. So I graduated in July of 2017. I finished up over the summer with my nursing program. I was one of those crazy people. I just wanted to get it in and get it done. I was waiting to move to Virginia with my fiance since he had been here since January. Yeah, January. So I graduated in July, ended up moving out to Virginia in the beginning of September. Yes, and I had planned my NCLEX like the first or second week of September. So within a few weeks of me moving a whole state, few states away, over 10 hours away from home, from family, everything I knew. It was rough. So what I did to study the first time. So my school ended up paying for the Kaplan Live Review. Also, we got the question bank, which was awesome. I didn't have to pay for it. Also, we did the ATI Live Review, and I'm also going to show you some of the things that I used to study. So we got the NCLEX RN Review from ATI. So we went through all those classes. Then we also had Kaplan Review at the end. It was optional. But I did it because I know a lot of people pay over $500 for it. So I did both of those. The ATI review was okay. It was a lot of information at once. It was very fast, and information overload, it was all right. Kaplan review was pretty good. They did the whole decision tree thing. They broke down questions. In class, it's all you did is questions, and they taught you how to decipher what exactly the question's asking for you, if it's a priority question, ABCs, or is this an expected or unexpected outcome of a disease or an incident or something? So that was helpful. And we got the question bank with those. With the question bank, I tried to do almost all of them before my NCLEX the first time. I was unsuccessful. I think I made it to maybe 800. I was really trying to, but the questions on Kaplan, I did not like at all. The rationales really sucked. And this is my opinion, obviously. There's people that will live and die for Kaplan. That's their go-to for everything. And it's so expensive. But Kaplan just wasn't for me. It wasn't good with the rationales. The questions were really hard to figure out. And I know on NCLEX, I didn't think they were that crazy. And I wasn't doing very well at all on Kaplan. Some people do amazing, and I think was hitting maybe 50s, 55s, and our dean had told us if you're not making 60 to 65, you might as well not even attempt NCLEX. So that was comforting. Another thing that I did to study right after I graduated, after we got this book, which was actually very helpful, it's just a review of everything. Like, I read this cover to cover. Like, you can see highlights somewhere. All throughout it, I didn't highlight everything, but I read through the whole book. And this is just review. This is content. This isn't questions. ATI does have questions, as most of you know. If you're going through school, you have to do the NCLEX proctored exams, which really suck as well. So you know about ATI. The book was really good with review content. And the thing that I did wrong the first time, I think, was spending a lot of time on content. You have to know the content, obviously, to be able to answer these questions. But you have to be able to critically think through the questions, which is the hardest thing. So, that's what I did to study the first time. Some things I did wrong the first time. So, obviously, I didn't finish all the Kaplan questions, which was my goal. However, I wanted to get through ATI content more because I felt I needed more of a content review. Also, my anxiety was very high at this point. I should have waited longer to take my test the first time until I was ready and felt more comfortable. Then 2 weeks after moving out of state to a new town, new house, no family and everything, that was my mistake, which everybody has their own problems in life that you go through. So I stayed up the night before my NCLEX. I scheduled it at 8 a.m. in Richmond, Virginia, which is about 45 minutes away from my house now. So I had to get up very early to get there on time. So I was freaking out the night before. I mean, I was seriously freaking out. I was trying to cram last minute, and I know that's not what you're supposed to do, but I felt like I just was not ready. I wasn't mentally prepared. I wasn't physically prepared. I was going through a lot at that time. So I stayed up until probably 11:30 trying to study. And I mean, since I had been here in Virginia, I was studying all day long. I mean, all day long. From when I woke up to when I went to bed, it was study, study, study. And I wasn't working at the time because I had accepted an RN position at one of the hospitals here in Virginia before I moved from Indiana. So that was added stress because I knew I would have a job after, but I had to pass, and I didn't really know much about, I didn't know anything about my floor. I didn't know who I was working with. It was stressful. So I had that over my shoulders, so I knew that if I passed or failed, I'd have to tell my manager and go from there. So, back to the night before. I got maybe 2 hours of sleep. I was crying all night. I feel so bad for my fiance, Grant, because I was crying the whole time saying, I can't sleep, I'm freaking out, I need to sleep. And I tried everything. I mean, I tried counting sheep. You know, I tried to sleep, but I just couldn't. My mind was thinking of everything, trying to remember last minute things before I took the test. You know how it goes. So I woke up, and Grant, my fiance, actually woke up with me, I think at 6:30, and he made me breakfast, which was so nice. And then as I was just getting done eating it, I ended up like throwing up. I couldn't eat. I felt so nauseous. I was so nervous. And I drove to the testing center, got there maybe 15 minutes. You're supposed to be there, I think, a half hour early, so I think I was early. So I got in there, and there was like 15 minutes before my test, and I was kind of freaking out. I tried to calm myself, do positive self-talks, telling myself I can do this, I got this, all my friends, my family believe in me. It's just hard because there's so much writing on this test. You go through the hell of school, and you think once you graduate, yay, it's all over. No, it's not. You have to study your ass off. And I know some people, it comes easy, others it doesn't. I was one where it did not come easy. I really, really had to try hard to get through nursing school. I had good grades, but I really had to bust my butt to get those grades. So I knew after graduation I really had to bust my butt to pass this test. So I go into the testing center and I sit down to take my test, and I wasn't really freaking out. I think I was just zoned out, like not really thinking, just going through the motions. You know, on these tests, you can't just look for the right answer and think you know what the answer is going to be and then it'll be right there, like easy for you. It's not. You have to think through each answer, each question critically. So I did that. I wasn't really thinking through the questions. I was just kind of going through the motions. I don't even know what happened. Test shuts off at 75 questions. And my heart drops. I knew I failed. And I walk out of the testing center, acting like everything's fine. I get in my car, and I'm texting my friends that have already passed, some that haven't taken the test yet, and said, my test shut off at 75 questions. I'm freaking out. I knew that I failed in my heart, but all my friends were so nice. They're like, girl, you passed at 75 questions. The odds of you failing at 75 is very rare. Like 90% of people pass at 75 questions if it stops. So they had me kind of feeling good, right? So I'm like, okay, maybe I did pass by the grace of God. I don't know how, but somehow I did. Maybe. No. So I didn't do the Pearson VUE trick because I knew I failed. I didn't want to even think about it for the rest of the night. I went home. I popped in a movie. I popped some bottle of wine. I drank the whole bottle of wine, and I went to bed and literally bawled like the whole time. The whole night, rest of the night. It was awful. So the next morning, I go to get my car fixed, and all of a sudden I get I think it was by email. No, I went to check the Indiana State Board of Nursing because that's the first place most of the time where you find out if you passed, because your license number will be posted. If you didn't pass, your name will go away off the pending licenses. So my name was gone. So I knew I failed. I went to my fiance's work. We cried together. It was so sad. I felt like my world was coming to an end. And if you're watching this and you failed the NCLEX, it's not the end of the world, I promise. Even though I felt like it was, it wasn't. I had taken it before some of my friends, and almost everybody that had taken it before me had passed. So I was really discouraged, especially since mine shut off at 75 questions. I felt stupid. I felt like I didn't know my shit, and I knew I did. I really think it was a mental thing. My anxiety was extremely high. There was other things going on. I just wasn't focused enough, and I wasn't mentally prepared for this test. So to you guys that are about to take it, the second time around, what I did, I feel like really helped, and I'm hoping that this will help you guys as well. So, second time around, I took about 2 weeks off after I had failed the first time. I gave myself a break. I didn't look at or study hardly any NCLEX things. I did some research on YouTube. Obviously, this is why I'm kind of making this video, because I feel like it helped me looking at some, but I couldn't find any that had my situation, failed at 75 questions, and then passed at 75 questions. I think there was one video. So that's why I decided to make this one. So second time around, I did some research on YouTube, online. A lot of people use Kaplan, which I had used through classes, through the qbank, found I didn't like it. So I was looking up other things, and I had been told before about UWorld. There have been some nurses that I've worked with in the past that have used it, that like swore by it. There was, I think, one person in my graduating class that used it, and she like walked out of the Kaplan class, and she was like, this isn't for me, I'm using UWorld only. And we all were like, what? And then I ended up talking to her after, and I like understand completely why she did. UWorld like changed my study habits, my knowledge base, like made me think of everything completely differently when it came to studying, because nobody tells you how to study after NCLEX. It's like you pick this program, this program, this program, and kind of go from there. You figure it out the rest of the way. So with UWorld, it breaks it down with different categories, like you have OB, PEDS, critical care, adult med surge, neuro, like there's other things in there too. So each body system category, nursing specialty, and then in each section it goes into deeper categories. So GI, GU, respiratory, kidneys, things like that. So it goes into deeper topics and then explains each disease further that could be within those topics, and it only gives you questions over those. So my goal with UWorld, after I purchased it, which it's $80 I believe, and then I did it for 2 months. So I paid for the $80 and then it's $50 to renew it, which was a lot cheaper than Kaplan if you are looking for something to purchase. And this is all on your phone. I could do the questions wherever I wanted. That was very nice. I'd be sitting, at the doctor's office. I'd be sitting at home. I would be on my phone doing questions. So they also have a tutoring option, I guess, that you can say, that after each question, it will tell you if you got it right or wrong, rather than doing the full 60 and then figuring out if you got it wrong. Some people like doing that, or however many questions you choose, then it'll tell you how many you got wrong. I liked using the tutor method because after each question, it shows you if you got it right or wrong and then gives you a rationale. So the rationales with UWorld, amazing. Kaplan was horrible. You would be lucky if you got like 1 or 2 sentences on a rationale. UWorld, it's like a paragraph each answer. And that may be too much for some people. For me, I like to read, and I also like to write things out. That helps me remember better. So what I did, I got a NCLEX study notebook. So I would go through the questions, and my goal was to finish all the questions before I took the test next. The NCLEX test next. So I literally, this thing is freaking filled, y'all. There was so much I didn't know, so much school didn't teach me. And I know they can't teach you everything, but there was stuff on there that I had never learned. There were things I did know, but not as in depth. So I would go through these questions, and anything that I didn't know, and even if I got it right, I read all the rationales, which sounds tedious. There's almost 2,000 questions in this qbank. But they were awesome because they also give pictures, that really helped me because I'm a visual learner. Reading and looking at pictures really, really helps me. I don't know if I have a photographic memory or what, but pictures stick in my brain. So with almost each question, each disease, they will give you a picture or a graph or a chart or table that will explain the disease and kind of break it down for you, which is very helpful for me. So after I did all the questions, there were a few other things I used too to study. So I also used, thanks to Alex, thank you for letting me borrow this. I'll send it back, I promise. The NCLEX RN Saunders book, examination, whatever. So anything, it's like a Bible. I didn't want to use this because, I don't know, it's just too bulky to travel with, and I'd probably fall asleep. But this thing was awesome. This was like my Bible, basically. If I didn't know something on UWorld and I needed a better explanation, I would look in this book. So this book actually helped me a lot, so thank you, Alex. Also, another thing that I used a lot was actually this sheet from ATI. And girl, this is all of your labs. Tear this baby out. I wrote, my cats has probably sat on this maybe 20 times or more. It's all wrinkled up. I would look at this every day before I studied. I knew these labs forward and backward. I would add other like things to it, like CBP map, what your art line pressure should be, your BNP, how to figure your map. What else do I have? Other OB labs. Just like little things, numbers that I would have to remember, I put on here. And then I would highlight certain things, like if this number was higher, that means that you're dehydrated. If this number is lower, that means you're in fluid overload. So that was very helpful. And I would look at this before every time I would sit down for questions. Even though it was redundant, it helped. Another thing that I used, and if this is too much, I know it's a lot when you have a lot of different things that you're studying from, but honestly, I really just used UWorld. If I didn't know something, I used Google, and I used that Saunders book. Another thing that I used only during the pharmacology portion of UWorld was this baby, which got me through pharmacology and nursing school. So if you're about to go into pharm, or you haven't taken pharm yet, this was so helpful. Especially for me, since, you know, I like pictures. They give you pictures for each category of drug. Also, there's a few specific drugs in here that you like really have to know, like digoxin, nitroglycerin, like the big ones. And they're just little memory card mnemonics that like give you ways to remember certain symptoms, certain procedures you're supposed to do if something bad happens. This book was a lifesaver. So that's about all I used the second time around. So I went in my planner, I scheduled out to do 60 questions twice a day. And that includes 60 questions with the rationales. So even if I got it right, I was still reading the rationales. Because even if you got it wrong, there was still information in the question that you could learn for other questions later on. And I feel like that really helped me with my critical thinking. Reading and understanding all these rationales helped me be able to answer questions later on. So, yeah, I plan to do 60 question sets twice a day. Did I do that every day? No. The second time around, after I failed NCLEX, I had to get a job. So I wasn't a nurse, but I got a patient care tech position on my floor that I got hired as an RN. And I was so thankful for that because I needed some money. So I got that job, and I also had to study for NCLEX. So on the days I worked, I didn't do questions, maybe 10 to 15. If I was sitting with the patient, I would do some, which was nice to have on my phone. So I tried to do the full 120 questions a day. Sometimes I would do more, sometimes I would do less. On the weekends, I try and make up for the ones that I couldn't get during the week. So I planned it all out to finish a few days before my test, which I made it. I made it through all 1,900 questions, which seems like so much. But you guys, if you do this, I promise you, if you're not a writer, that's fine. But me writing out the rationale, the thing I didn't know in the rationale, even though it seems tedious and kind of crazy, that's what helped me the most. That's how I learned in school too. I would read and then write, or listen and write. And then right before the test, so I'd finished all the questions on a Friday. I had to take the test on a Monday. And this time I scheduled my test for noon instead of 8 o'clock in the morning. So Friday, I finished the questions. Saturday, Sunday, I went through all my notes, not all of them, because there was a lot. I went through the big like parts of my notes, I guess. I didn't really hit like child health, peds. I didn't really hit OB very much in my notes. I really wanted to focus on pharm, adult med surge, and that was about all I looked at in my notes. I tried to read as much as I could Saturday and Sunday, but on Sunday I tried my very best, and I don't care how much you study or didn't study for this test, you're not going to feel prepared to take the NCLEX. Like, I still didn't feel prepared. On Sunday, the day before my test, I still looked at my notes until 4 or 5 o'clock, until my fiance got home. because I didn't feel ready. Even though I felt confident with my knowledge and everything, I still didn't feel fully ready. I don't think anybody will, unless you like act like you know it, which I think that's the best attitude to have. Like, just act like you know it. Like, you have been through school, you know what you're supposed to know at this point. Hopefully you've studied your butt off to take this test and you're prepared. So Sunday, I studied until 5, and then I completely relaxed. Like, I think we had dinner, watched a movie, I did a face mask, took a shower. On Saturday, I'm pretty sure I went and got my nails done. Like, I did things for me that weekend, and it was just review. I didn't fully review all day long. I took breaks. I didn't want to do information overload like I did last time. So Sunday night, I did as much as I could to calm myself. I had some chamomile tea before bed, which is supposed to help with sleep. I fell asleep and actually slept pretty good. I don't think I did much else. I did do some meditation this second time around just because I did have such bad anxiety after failing the first time. I just felt so down on myself, feeling like I don't know if I could do it. Every day I would wake up and be like, I don't want to study. I don't want to do this. Maybe I should look into other careers. I don't know if I can be a nurse. I'm sure you've all felt that. But I did my best to get a good night's rest of sleep, to decrease my anxiety and everything, because Monday at noon I was taking this test. So Monday morning, I wake up, I think I had a Shakeology and a banana for breakfast, and then I got to just chill. I chilled at my house, looked over some labs like last minute, looked at some more of my notes, and I packed those up. I think I left my house at like 10 o'clock, maybe a little bit earlier, and I went to Panera, which was right next to the Pearson Testing Center, and I just sat there, got some lunch right before, and I studied a little bit more. I just looked over last minute things, again, looking through my notes. My NCLEX study notebook and my lab sheet was the only thing I took with me. So right before the test, I was feeling anxious again. Like, it's just something you can't help. If you have anxiety, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's like that weight on your chest, and you like try to breathe, but it's hard. So some things that I found to kind of calm myself was to just do the positive self-talk, tell myself, I got this, I've prepared for this, I've worked my ass off for this, through school, through studying every day, and I've just worked for it. I know that I can do this. Also, another thing that I did, to get my mind off of it, right before I walked into the testing center, I played this song that was new, and I can't remember the author. It's Symphony, and it's a newer song. I can link it in the bio if you really want to know. But for some reason, like, whatever song that you love and like makes you in a good mood, like, play that song right before you go in. And I was jamming. Like, I turned up my radio as loud as it could go. I didn't even care who was looking. Like, I honestly don't care. And then I was just like singing, like doing what I could to try and not think about this test that like could determine the rest of my life. So I sing, whatever, sounds lame, I don't care. So I walk into the testing center, and I'm feeling good. I'm calm. I'm not really feeling that anxious. I'm feeling like, you know what, if I got it this time, I got it. If I don't, I'm prepared to do this one more time. So that was my viewpoint, I guess. So I walk in, and the lady stands up from the desk and walks me out, and I'm like, what's going on? So she walks me out of the testing center, I'm not even joking, and I'm kind of freaking out, and she's like, do you have to go to the bathroom? And I'm like, sure. So I go to the bathroom, and I go back in, and she says, I'm really sorry, but we don't have a seat like available for you to take the NCLEX right now. And I'm like, what? Like, I'm ready right now to take this test. If I don't take it today, I don't know if I'll like be ready to take it. Like, I am mentally, physically prepared to take it right here and now. She tells me there's 2 computers that are available, but they won't load the NCLEX, and there's other medical students in there taking their exams, and they have taken them longer than they expected. She said to come back within 30 to 45 minutes to take my test if people are done, if there's a computer available. So I'm like, shit. I call my fiance, I call my mom, and I'm freaking out. I'm like, I may not be able to take it today. They don't have a seat for me to even, like, take it. So I was freaking out, and then after I talked to my mom and my fiance, they calmed me down. They're like, you know what? Take a deep breath. Everything happens for a reason. Look through some of your notes. Maybe you can look at something again last minute. And I'm like, oh my God, I've studied my ass off. I'm so overstudying. So I went to my car. I had an apple. I had a little snack that I was supposed to eat before I went in the first time, but didn't. So I ate that, listened to some music. I just read through, like, some more notes. I did look at the growth and development type for OB and for peds. I hate that stuff, so I just looked at it last minute to think if I had a question that I could hopefully answer it from looking last minute. And then I prayed to God. I'm like, if this is meant to be, it's going to happen right now, because I don't know if I can do this again. So everything happens for a reason, and I kept telling myself that. So I go into the testing center like a half hour later, and she's like, we have a seat available for you. Thank you so much for waiting and being patient. We're going to get you in right now. And I'm like, holy shit, here we go. So I do the whole, like, scan your hand, all that junk. And I sit down at my computer, and it's a different computer than what I was at before, which I was nervous about. I don't know, I'm weird with things like that. Like, I didn't want the same computer. Meant nothing, but it was all in my head. So I had a different computer, and I sat down, closed my eyes for about a minute or two, and the lady was probably like, what is this girl doing? But I was just praying and, like, talking to myself. I'm like, I got this. I know I can do this. It's going to be right here and right now that I do this. I prayed to God. I said, thank you for letting me get this far. I don't want to do this again. Let me, like, perform to the best of my knowledge, and here we go. So I took the test. It stopped at 75 questions again. I didn't really have a lot of select all that apply, which was weird because people say, oh, you want a lot of select all that apply. Like, that's how you know you're doing well. I maybe had 15, maybe 20 select all that apply. Like, some people were like, oh, I had over like 50%. Girl, I barely had any. Like, I was freaking out after each question that I didn't have a select all that apply. I'm like, FML, I am not doing well. But I had a lot of priority questions, and I know it's different for everybody. I had a lot of priority questions. I had meds that I had never heard about or saw. Like, there was some things on there I didn't know. But the ones that, if there was a disease or something that came up on the question, I knew it. Like, I knew the symptoms. I knew which meds to give. I knew what practices you may have to do as a nurse with that patient. Like, I felt confident. Like, I went through each question, figured out what the objective was or what the subject topic was, and then I went through each answer, and I critically thought through why each answer was not right. So was it your ABCs, or was it expected versus unexpected, which I think is the biggest thing that got me through these questions. Like, is this expected for this disease? Like, with COPD, is it common for them to have wheezes? And is it common for them to have an SpO2 of 90? Yes. Things like that. Like, things that are expected versus unexpected. That really helped me. And that's something that I did learn from Kaplan. That's a part of the decision tree, but not all of it. Like, some of that helps people, didn't help me. I only took a little bit of it, but I did take that part. That was helpful. So, yeah, I didn't have that many select all that apply. So if people say, if you barely got any select all that apply, you probably failed. Well, girl, I didn't hardly get any. And it stopped at 75, and let me tell you, I freaked out. I thought I failed again. I walked out, and I'm like, I failed again. Yep. Because I made myself think that I wasn't good enough to pass at 75 questions. I was prepared at 70 questions. I was prepared to go on to like 100, 180, 265. Like, I was ready for whatever questions they had for me. I was ready to answer. I was ready to sit there all damn day. Thank God I didn't. But it stopped at 75, and I went to my car. I called my fiance, called my mom again, and I told them I don't think I passed. It stopped at 75 again. Like, I'm not feeling good because of what happened to me the first time. I don't know. I know I studied so much harder, and I understood my shit this time. I feel like I should pass, but I don't know if I did. So this time around, I went home. I think I got home like close to the same time my fiance did, maybe a few hours earlier. Once he got home, I told him, I'm like, we're going to do the Pearson VUE trick. I feel a lot more confident this time. I don't know if I passed, I don't know if I failed, but I don't think I can wait until tomorrow. And this at least gives you an idea. It's supposed to be like 99% accurate, which with me it was. I did the Pearson VUE trick where you go to re-register yourself for the test. If it lets you pay the $200, then you failed. If it lets you, or if it pops up with the good pop-up saying that you currently have a test that is scheduled waiting to be, like the results are waiting or something, waiting to be processed. So I got that pop-up, and guys, I wish I would have recorded it because I didn't want to record it, for one, because I didn't think I passed. I really didn't have that much self-confidence to think that I passed. But it was the best feeling that I've ever had in my life. Like, so much self-satisfaction, I can't even explain it. Like, I was too scared to even push submit with the Pearson VUE trick, and I had my fiance do it, and he was looking at the screen because I had to walk away. I couldn't even do it, and he's just sitting there at the screen like, and I'm like, what does it say? And he was like, I don't know, and I'm like, so I walk over to it, and I'm like, holy shit, I'm a nurse. And I just started crying. And I, like, couldn't believe it. Like, it's still hard for me to believe now. But I can't wait for all of you guys to have that feeling. All my friends that are going through hell right now, trying to finish classes, trying to get studied up, for finals, do all these papers for clinicals. It's all worth it just for this feeling, I promise you. You may think that maybe you don't know if you can do it. Girl, you can. And guys, you can. I promise. If I can do it, you guys can do it. You just have to be confident in yourself, which is something I've struggled with for a very long time. But I can't wait for you guys to have that feeling because it's amazing. And it makes it all worth it. All the tears, the blood, the sweat, it makes it all worth it. All the sleepless nights from studying until 3 o'clock in the morning, like me and my roommates would do. It's fine, though. Everybody does it. It makes it all worth it. So after that, I still wasn't, 100% sure that I passed. Everybody says that if you got the good pop-up, like, you passed, hands down. You don't have to worry about it. But I was waiting for, like, Pearson VUE or my Virginia Board of Nursing here to send me something that I had passed. They didn't send me anything. Actually, the next day, I was looking at the license board to, like, look for my license number in the morning. Wasn't there yet. I ended up getting a text from my friend Allison. Thanks, girl. She had been looking up, I guess, to see if my license number was there, and she texted me a screenshot of it. And I was like, oh shit, it's official. I'm a nurse. So it's been the best experience ever. It's been so hard being away from family and not being able to share this with my friends and family, but I can't, thank everybody enough that's been there for me. Grant, who's been there through my crazy, emotional roller coaster. Same with my friends, my mom, my dad, everybody. It's been crazy. It's been ups and downs, failing one class, failed my first ever nursing class, applied into the nursing program, didn't get in. After I didn't get into one school, I applied into another school and got in. Everything happens for a reason, and at the time, it may seem like the end of the world to you. Maybe if you didn't get into nursing school or you failed a class, you got pushed back a semester. It happens, and everything happens for a reason. The world keeps turning, so you got to keep moving. You can't stop. You can't get upset about it in the moment because you don't know what's going to happen later on, and that could be better than what you ever thought. So I just wanted to come on here, make this video about my NCLEX experience, how I became a nurse, how I was successful the second time. If you guys are wanting to join and get into nursing school, I would recommend it. It's so tough. If you have any friends that are in school, you probably don't see them much, but unless it's for a drink, because nursing school is stressful. But if you're wanting to do nursing, I encourage it. All my friends that are about to graduate, you guys are awesome. You guys can do it too. If anybody has any questions for me, you can text me if you know me personally, or you can comment on this video. I can share more about how I studied and how I broke it down, explain more about how I used some of the books that I have. If you guys have any questions, I am here to help you. So thank you guys so much for watching. Have a good one.